we commit this day, Father, through your Spirit, I pray that we be attentive, that you would make me attentive, so that, Father, I don't just do the work of the curriculum, but also I might meet the needs of the group and as the church as well. We commit it to you for your glory and for my brothers and sisters' benefit. Amen. All right, so real quickly, is there anything you want me to clear up from yesterday? Any questions, comments, anything you want me to clear up from yesterday?
I did have.
All righty.
I want to make sure I say it right, so let me refer to it. It was, love is a, where you said love is a skill that you get better at.
Yes.
As you practice loving.
Yes.
If you can share a little bit more.
Love is a skill that you practice. The more that I practice patience, the better at being patient I become. And since love is patient, the more patient you become, the more loving you become. Because love is patient. That's why you ever hear people say, well, don't pray for patience. Don't tell people that. Here's what Father hears. Why would you not want them to have patience? Because I am love and love is patient. Why would you not want them to be like me? You should be asking for opportunities to practice patience regularly so that you become a very patient person, so that you are loving in all areas of your life. And you should be praying for opportunities to practice kindness. I use the word practice because that was what I used for myself. You know, something happens and the Lord goes, here's a chance to practice kindness right now, Rick. Yes, sir. And your brain wants to go that way, you know, Romans 7, the things I don't want to do. But I do this anyways because it's better for me and it's better for others. Obedience is a better way to live life. So the more that I practice patience, the more I become patient. That's why you can get better at love. But that's about maturity, isn't it? It's about emotional regulations too. All right, does that clear it up for you? That's why I always joke around and say, go to Walmart if you got patience issues. Just go there, right? You know, that kind of thing. A lot of stuff going on right now in our world that can make you practice patience and kindness, right? All right. Yes, ma'am, Sky?
I just want to make sure that I wrote it down right. It was a quote that you said yesterday. I wrote down, relationships are not built on agreement, but they are built on understanding.
You got it. We're about to go there in detail. All right. We're about to go there in detail, all right? Agreement can undermine a marriage or any relationship, as a matter of fact. Anyone else? Alrighty then. So if you put up that first slide for me, this kind of wraps up the whole idea of the 4 protectors, all right? And this is not in your manual. These are just kind of teaching tools I use. So basically, what are the fruit of the 4 protectors? If you choose to live your life out of goodwill, respect, humility, empathy, then what is the fruit of that long term? And you'll see it there. You become a healthy, mature person. You become trustworthy. Now, trust is not as simple as people think. I have a whole lecture on trust. Bob had me do there's what I call the 8 components of trust. I did a thing for the JBA on that. You become honest and open, by the way. And by the way, make sure you use the word honest and open correctly. You know, I might say, you know, well, Pastor Sky, I want to be honest with you. Well, that would imply that you would lie. That's actually not the word you want to use. What you're really saying is, I want to be open with you. It's about being vulnerable. If you're going to be honest, then you don't have to worry about you lying at some point too then, right? Now, I do know this. The more open you'll become, your tendency is to be more what? Honest. So use language correctly because the brain has to have language correct, all right? And then you'll become more honest and open. You'll have more self-control. And I know that self-control is the fruit of the Spirit, but I'm going to tell you something. I know a lot of lost people who have self-control, and I know a lot of saved people who don't. You with me? Yep. So lost people can live out the principle of Scripture, and then the other 2 pieces there on the screen are you can become socially aware and you become self-aware. And by the way, self-awareness is the first fundamental of emotionally healthy people. You cannot have self-control if you're not self-aware, because you can't control yourself from doing something if you're not aware that you're doing it. Make sense? So self-awareness is the first fundamental. All right, now we're going to have a conversation around relationships, all right? Around relationship. And we're talking any relationship even with the Walgreens employee, a Walmart employee, a post person, all right? So now we're going to talk about what do you have to have in order to have a relationship with somebody, all right? And so there's three pillars to having a relationship with anybody. So we're not talking marriage. And by the way, what I'm giving you right now is not in Relate Well, but it's a part of the Relate Well conversation of tools, all right? But I want to give this to you because it's a part of that fundamental to help you in your ministry, in your own life, but also when you work with others as well, all right? So the first thing you have to have a relationship with anybody is what? Communication. However, let's be honest, not all communication builds a relationship. You cuss someone out, you ain't building a relationship with them. If you're insensitive to them, you ain't building a relationship. If you're harsh in your tone, you're not building a relationship, because not all communication builds a relationship, right? So we need to talk about then, well, what kind of communication actually builds a relationship, all right? So let's have that conversation, because there's a very particular kind of conversation that creates relationship, and there's other kind of communication that doesn't. To do that, though, what we're going to do, I'm going to show you something about how your brain works, all right? So I need you to humor me and just kind of follow along and learn something, all right? I'm going to teach you about something in the biological world that parallels the relational world. There's a lot of things that God set in order in the physical world that mirror relationships, got it? And this is one of them, all right? So what I want you to do, for a minute, hold your finger up and look at your finger with one eye. Just look at your finger with one eye, and as you're looking at your finger with one eye, I want you to be aware of everything that your brain sees with that one eye. Top to bottom, left to right. Be aware of the whole picture. Notice the picture, be aware of it. Now, switch to the other eye, let it focus. As you look at your finger with the other eye, be aware of everything your brain sees with the other eye. Top to bottom, left to right. If you move your eyes back and forth, it looks like your finger's moving, but we know it's really not. All right, now, here's the first question for you. The picture your brain sees with the left eye, is it the same picture your brain sees with the right eye? It isn't. That's fundamental. The pictures are similar, but that's not what I asked. I asked, are they the what? They're similar, but they're not the same. Now, here's the second question. Can the left eye ever see what the right eye sees? No. I don't care where you turn your head, the right eye will never see from here to here. I don't care what you do. The right eye and the left eye will never, ever, ever see the same picture. They'll always be different. And the left eye cannot see what the right eye sees. You get that? That's important. Now, finger back up. Look at your finger with two eyes. As you look at your finger with two eyes, notice everything your brain sees with two eyes. Be aware of the picture. Now, the picture your brain sees with two eyes, is it the same picture as the left eye or the right eye? Obvious, no. Is this a new picture? How do you know it's a new picture? You can see everything for sure, but there's something your brain does with two eyes you'll never have with one eye. Anybody see it? No? Let me ask you this. Can you see when two eyes open, can you see your left eye? Can you see your right eye? So left eye and right eye go away completely. You couldn't tell left or right now. But there's something else your brain does with two eyes you'll never have with one eye. Does anybody see it? Depth perception. Look, you can see in 3D. You lose it with one eye. One eye gives you two dimension. Isn't that fascinating? Now here's what the brain does. The brain takes in information from the left eye. It takes in information from the right eye. And when two different pictures enter the brain doesn't combine those and just see them together. What the brain does, it creates another way of understanding the world, because you can see the world in 3D now. But you lose it with one eye. All right? Same thing with hearing. If you're deaf in one ear, you can hear. If I'm deaf in this ear, you can hear. You can hear, but the hearings are different in left and right ear. But if you have both your ears right now, can you tell your left ear or can you tell your right ear? Can you tell which ear is which? No, you can't. You lose left and right ear. But there's something else your brain does with two ears you lose with one ear. Anybody know what it is? All right, here's what it is. I'll tell you. Because I didn't know all this stuff years ago either. Someone had to teach me. If you're deaf in one ear and you hear something, your brain goes, what was that? It searches for the sound. With two ears, your brain goes, what was that? You get direction. It automatically knows where the sound came from. But you lose it with one ear, you have to think about where it came from. Isn't that fascinating? So when information comes into the left ear and information comes into the right ear, the brain takes in two different ways of hearing and creates another way of understanding the world, because you also get direction. All right? Hopefully everybody has a pen. Take your pen, hold it in your hand, just like this. All right? Hold it up like that. Be aware how it feels, and you can look at the pen and tell how long it is, right? All right, switch to the other hand. Feel the same, but different. And you can still look at it and tell how long the pen is, right? All right, humor me. Close your eyes. Keep your eyes closed. Close your eyes. Keep your eyes closed. Now, with your eyes closed, can you tell how long that ink pen is? Now, take the finger. Keep your eyes closed. Take the index finger of your hand. Put on top of the pen. All right, index finger, other hand, put on top of the pen. There you go. Use both hands now. Now, keep your eyes closed. Can you get a sense how long that pen is? Turn it sideways. Can you tell which way it's pointing? Yes. All right, open your eyes. Because when the left hand and the right hand communicate together, I understand the world better. But I lose it with one. One leg up, other leg on the floor. Flat on the floor. So lift the other leg up. So with the one foot on the floor, the other foot up off the ground, can you tell if under your feet, if the floor is flat? Yeah, you can. You can sense it, right? Could you tell if the floor around your foot is flat? No. Put the other foot down now. Can you tell if the floor is flat now? Yeah. Because when the left leg and the right leg communicate together, you understand the world differently. Because when the left hand and the right hand communicate together, you understand the world better. When the left ear and the right ear communicate together, you understand the world differently. Same thing with the left eye and the right eye. You see, people say that there are different realities. That actually is not true. In reality, there's only one reality. There is not different hands here. There's only one hand. Got it? So this is my hand. What do you all see? I'll do it this way. What do you see? You see a palm? What else do you see? Fingers, some lines, ring, right? All right, that's what you see of this one reality. But it's not what I see. What I see are knuckles. I see fingernails. I see wrinkles. I see a scar. Got it? One reality. This is what you see. This is what I see. How can I see what you see? Problem is you can't turn reality around. How can I see what you see? We have to communicate. And as I listen to your reality, and I go, huh? And I listen to her reality, and then I take her reality, put it together with my reality, I understand reality better. It works this way. Dog. One reality. Dog. Luella does not want one really bad. I want one really bad. Got it? And we used to argue about this one reality until many years ago. I thought, this is dumb. I teach this stuff. I need to shut up. And I said, help me understand dog. And she began to tell me, growing up in an alcoholic home where she's 8th grade, taking care of her alcoholic parents and her 2 younger siblings, and they had these dogs that would mess in the house, and no one took care of them. It was just one more thing in her home, in her life, and she never wanted a what? Dog. And when I put her reality around mine, I went, oh no wonder you don't want a dog. And when I put those two perspectives, that's your perspective, this is my perspective, that we're changing the name now. This is your perspective of reality, this is my perspective of one reality. Our perspectives are what? Different. But what happens in relationships, what we say is basically, there's this sting out here, right? And he says, well, Rick, I have this perspective. Well, I got this perspective. And what happens is we start arguing whose perspective is right or wrong. He's just the left eye. I'm just the right eye. Both of our perspectives are right. Only of that reality, but only based on our what? Perspective. But I don't care about your perspective. But you're going to care about mine. It's like the left eye saying, I don't care what the right eye sees. And because the left eye doesn't care what the right eye sees, you cannot put two perspectives together, and you'll never understand reality. All you want to understand is your reality. The Arabs are right about the Jews. And the Jews are right about the Arabs. Only based on their what? I have family members, Nadara. Don's not met her. She's one of my dad's first cousin's wives. She's in her 70s. Can't stand the Jews. Makes sense. When she was 4 years old in the 1947, living outside of Haifa in a village her family lived in for centuries, the Zionists came by and kicked them all out of their homes, killed some of the people. And in one day, they were displaced. And eventually, their family had to make it to what is now Jordan. You want to know something? Based on her what? Makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. Do I agree with Llewellyn's perspective about a dog? No. Because when you take two perspectives and you put them together, then you have understanding. But I don't want to understand reality. I want you to agree with my perspective because I disagree with your perspective. I have a movie poster. I thought about going and getting it this morning and bringing it here, but I chose not to. But I have a movie poster. It's a big poster like you see on the outside of a theater, all right? I have a flip chart piece of paper in front of it. I'd put it right here on an easel in front of you. All right, I'm going to say, all right, now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lift this piece of paper up no more than 5 seconds. Remember 3 things you see. I lift it up, I count to 5, I put it down, and I start over here, and I'd say, all right, what do you see? And this group over here, they would say, someone over here would say, it's an attractive woman, fair skin, short hair, wearing a vest, kind of a loose-fitting top. We'll go, okay. What'd you all say? They're confused. Someone will speak up and go, looks like a creature, like an alien. Really hideous looking. Maybe a metallic outfit. And I go, did y'all see an attractive woman in short hair? No. Did y'all see a creature? No. Everybody's confused. What'd you all see? They're really confused. And they would say, it's a female, orangish skin, disheveled look, looks like a zombie, really darkness around her eyes. I go, you're kidding. No. Did you see like an alien or anything? No. Did you see like an attractive woman or anything? No. Did y'all see like a zombie? Nope. Did y'all see a zombie? Nope. Everybody's confused. What'd you all see? They're really confused. They go, it looks like a blacked out moon with the word species 2, mating season begins. Did y'all see a moon with species 2? Uh-uh. Did y'all see a moon with species 2? Uh-uh. Did y'all see a creature? No. Everybody in the room is confused. And they're like, all right, Rick, what'd you do to us? And then I said, all right, let me show you. And I take the flip chart sheet paper up, and I hold this poster this way, and I go, all right, now watch. And I just slightly move it. Remember those baseball cards when we were kids? Had two, this, I think they're called lentils, there's a name for them. This has 5 in it. It's the woman before and her transformation into the species. It's from the movie. It was well worth the purchase to buy it for this one teaching point. Everybody's like, oh, that's really cool. It is cool, right? I remember the first time I saw it, I walked by and went, oh, I could get something like that. And I found it and I bought it, all right, at movieposters.com. But here's my question. Who was right? Everybody in that room was right, only based on their perspective. But here's how it works in relationship. I have a perspective, some issue, and so does Sky. And Sky and I don't want to listen to each other's perspective. What we're going to argue is my perspective is right and yours is wrong. And you will not have a relationship. So here's the phrase for you. I think it's in your handout. When two perspectives come together, that creates understanding. And understanding creates a relationship. Not right or wrong. Not right or wrong. But when you start arguing, I'm right and you're wrong, what you don't realize is you won't have a relationship with that person. And this is what happens today in our world. I don't want a relationship with you. I want to prove you wrong so I can be what? Right. And this is why we don't have relationships in denominations, in homes, across racial lines, because everybody's arguing their perspective is right, and that perspective is what? And nobody wants to sit down and listen to each other's what? and consider the possibilities. That what you think you know might be something you didn't know as well. Because there is another perspective out there. There is. But I don't want a relationship, Jennifer. I want you to be wrong so I can be what? And God does not do that with us. And he is always right. And he will still let you be wrong, but he will not throw away the relationship. We throw away relationships for right and wrong. That's what we do. And because we don't want to sit and listen to each other. You cannot have a relationship if you don't communicate. But you have to communicate to where you put two what? Perspectives together. That creates what? Understanding. And understanding creates a relationship. You got that piece down. Now, since you got to have two perspectives coming together to have a relationship, what kind of communication then builds a relationship? All right? What kind of communication builds a relationship? If you can put my slide back up there for me, if you don't mind. It's that third point there, all right? Here's the answer. The kind of communication that creates relationship is when I feel that you feel what I feel. It's about feeling. It goes to the limbic brain, which is the emotional brain. When I feel that you feel what I feel, we just create a relationship in that moment. It's not when I understand that you know what I said. Because you might go, so Rick, what I'm hearing you say is, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I go, yeah. Anthony, that's what I'm saying, but I don't think you still get it yet. You ever been there? Someone, you know they understood, but part of your brain goes, but I don't think you get it yet. It's because you don't feel that they feel what you feel. Just because you understand don't mean you get it yet. You got to speak to that other part of the brain that's behind the rational mind, the neocortex, right? Down in the limbic area, which is where the Bible refers to the heart. It's in that part of your brain. And when I feel that you feel what I feel, we just create a relationship. Just don't ask me if I what? Agree. Because I may not. But I'd rather have a relationship and agree to disagree and protecting us. But marriages, families, relationships being thrown away. Why? Because I don't value us. I value being right. Good prevention for you guys. We all messed up already, see? Does that make sense? Now, I want you to talk with me. Practically, how would you do that? Think about it and give me some ideas. How would you communicate practically so that the speaker would feel what they feel? That the speaker would feel that you feel what they feel. So what would you think about? How would you do that?
Well, I can think about a situation that we used to have to go through, and I'm grateful that we don't go through it anymore because we had to go through this communication. But, my husband, he might see a dude, and he just, is communicating. That dude is flirting with you, and you are allowing him to flirt with you. And I'm like, he said hi. Like, what are you talking about? And so, that's one of the things that he would say. He would say, you're not allowing me to feel the way that I'm feeling about the situation.
That's different than what I'm at. I'm asking, how would you communicate so the speaker would feel that you feel what they feel? How would you actually do that?
I would say your response.
All right. Are you saying it's about a response?
So like saying like eye contact or like your response of.
So are you saying it's about my eye contact and body language?
Yeah.
All right. Could you have eye contact and body language and they still not feel that you feel what they feel? Yeah.
You repeat what they said,
Are you saying it's about repeating what they said?
so you fully understand what they're communicating.
All right. That's called active listening in a lot of places. All right. Are you saying it's like an active listening skill?
Yes.
Active listening skill would be like, well, so what I hear you saying is, so what I understand that you said is,
Yes.
could I do that and you still not feel that I feel what you feel?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, are you saying you're going to say things? All right. Someone else. Well, think about it.
Maybe responding the way you are responding. So if you're crying, then we would cry. Like an
Are you saying it's about sharing the same emotion that person has? Mourning with those that mourn, rejoicing, like Romans 12:15? Could I mourn with you and yet you still not feel that I feel what you feel? Yeah, you could, couldn't you? Now, that's not a bad verse, by the way, because I believe that verse wholeheartedly, because it has to do with aloneness. People are not meant to mourn alone or rejoice alone. That's where we actually do that. But that doesn't mean that that you would feel that I feel what you feel.
Is affirmation like making them feel like they're not wrong for how they feel?
Are you saying it's about validating what they say?
Yes. I don't have to agree.
Could
with
I
you.
validate it, but you still not feel that you feel what I feel? Yeah.
So maybe you can't do it.
Are you saying it's not possible?
No, it's possible.
You're saying it's possible? All right. It is. I'll tell you why I know. I've been doing it with you now for 4 minutes. Consistently.
Trying to understand them. Respond,
What are you saying?
Like,
How am I doing that?
because you're like, you're communicating. And
How am I communicating though? Are you saying it's about my tone?
no.
No, you can have a tone and not. I just did it again, by the way, with him. I just did it. Did you catch it? What did I do? What was the question I asked?
Trying to get to the point of it.
You said, yeah, you repeated back what he said, showing that you understood the possibility of how he feels.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say I understood. I didn't say I understood at all. What am I repeating?
How he feels.
Are you saying it's just about repeating what he said?
No.
You're saying it's not. Yes, ma'am.
You're persistent. You're not giving up, and you're just hanging in there.
Persistent in what?
The communication time.
What communication am I doing? You keep saying I'm communicating. What am I doing, though?
You're deflecting.
What's that?
Reflecting. Acknowledging.
Reflecting how?
By showing that.
All right, I'm going to give you grace. Here's why. It's not your fault. I don't know why, and I don't know why. The brain ignores what I'm doing. It completely ignores it. It hears after what I do. Did anybody catch it? Thinking about what I was doing. Anybody hear it? What's that? Are you saying it's because it was turning my head? No. I just did it and then.
So your actions told your brain how to receive the information that you got?
So you're listening.
Are you saying it's about, how am I listening?
You're listening to what I'm saying, and then
Are you saying because I'm listening to what you're saying?
you're making asking questions.
And then I make what question did I ask?
You're asking.
I am asking a question. It is a question. And the brain ignores it. But it's the way that a person will feel that you feel what they feel. It's really simple.
Now you're asking it? No,
No.
you're asking the question to
What question?
clarify.
What question?
You're asking them to define what they're saying.
No, I never asked the person to define what they said. No. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
Are you saying you didn't pick it up?
Exactly.
I just did it. I just did it.
Are you saying?
Who said that?
Are you saying?
Are you saying?
Are you saying?
Are you saying? It's simple. Are you saying that it's possible? Yes. Hear it? Yes. And in that moment, he feels that I feel that he feels. You always get a yes. Because once you get a yes, that's what I'm saying. They feel that you feel what they feel, and in that moment, we just built a relationship. Just don't ask me if I agree. Are you saying? Are you saying this is difficult for you? Yes. Are you saying you're struggling? Yes. Are you saying you feel betrayed? Yes. Are you saying you feel betrayed? No. Yeah? No. That means I didn't get it, right? So what do I do? Help me understand it. And you say more, and I go back to, are you saying? Because what's important for me is for me to put our perspectives together. And when I get a yes from you, you just now feel that I feel what you feel, but in that moment, I'm able to take your perspective and put it to what? And now I understand reality. And because of that, I chose not to have a dog, though I called Don way back then when I was angry, and he talked me down because I was in my low brain.
So what happens after the yes? Like in that perfect situation?
You're about solutions. We ain't about solutions. We're just about relationships right now. I love that, but this is not about solutions. This is only about relationship. Relationships aren't solutions. Relationships are. They are or they are not, right? If you want a solution, just do are you sayings. But what we don't say is are you saying. What I usually do is what I'm saying is. No, this is what I'm saying. No, you're not listening to me. Because I don't really care about your perspective, sister. But you don't care about mine. The left eye does not care about the right eye. And thus you cannot put these two together and see the world as it is. And thus you won't have a what?
Relationship.
And you can be married and not have a relationship. Are you with me? So when I feel that you feel what I feel, we now create relationship, because that's putting two perspectives together. And I practically do that by saying what? Now, all communication is positive or negative. If it's positive, then you're operating in humility. Because to do are you saying, guess what I'm not saying, is what I'm saying. Are you saying puts all the focus on your perspective. Why? Because what matters to me is your perspective. Slow to anger, quick to hear, slow to speak. The whole focus of that is listening. It's not talking. Love listens. If it's negative, you're in pride. And that's because left eye doesn't care about what the right eye sees. Thus, you cannot put two perspectives together, and you cannot understand the world because right eye hand doesn't care about what left hand thinks. And you can't put it together to understand reality. That makes sense? Now, you've got to have communication to have a relationship. The second thing you have to have is recognition. Recognition. If I'm doing, are you saying, and I'm looking to get yeses, who am I recognizing? The other person. I'm recognizing you. Every time I do are you saying, I'm actually recognizing you, right? That takes humility on my part, and I value what you think and feel about this thing, so I just do are you saying, so that means I'm recognizing you. And because I'm recognizing you, you feel, write these two words down, valued and appreciated by me. You feel valued and appreciated now. All because I made a decision to not force you to see what I see. I just want to see what you see so I can put your perspective with mine so I can gain understanding. You will feel that I feel what you feel, so you feel valued and appreciated, and I get clarity about the meaning of dog. And I decided I shouldn't have a dog based on understanding my reality with a dog, because as much as I was traveling around the country, it would be disrespectful, go back to my 4 words, for me to ask the well to take care of a dog when I was gone so much. And I chose to not have a dog. Make sense? We were joking about this a few months ago, and I said, the Lord told me you're dying before me so I can have a dog. And she said, that's the only way you'll get it. Does that make sense? Now, the third pillar of relationship is trust. It is trust. You cannot have a relationship with someone if you don't what? Trust them. But we define trust this way. If I was to write the sentence, I trust you, and replace the word trust with another word, I blank you. What word could we replace with trust that would have the same meaning? I trust you, I blank you. I trust you, I know you. It would not be believe. I can believe someone but not trust them. I can love someone and not trust them. I can respect someone and not trust them. I trust you, I know you. Here's why. We trust people based on the way that we know them. If I know you to be late, I trust you to be late. If I know you to be on time, I trust you to be on time. If I know you to be caring and sensitive, I trust you to be that way. If I know you to be selfish and indulgent for yourself, then that's how I trust you to be. And you create your own way of being known by what you do moment by moment, day after day, continuously, consistently. Now, let's put this together. When I communicate to where we put two perspectives together to build a relationship so that you feel that I feel what you feel, and I do that by are you saying? That means I communicated in humility. That means you feel recognized. So you feel valued and appreciated. So how do you know me? Is someone who values you, who appreciates you, who hears you. So how do you trust me as that person? Which means you probably communicate more. And now we just built a relationship with a Walmart employee. With anybody. It's that simple. But I don't want a relationship with Luella or you as a cashier or Chick-fil-A person frontline. So if we want this thing to really be strong and sturdy, we need a good foundation, right? Well, let's make this foundation 3 words. Loving, caring, and sharing. What if I communicate in a loving, caring, sharing way? Get it? If I communicate in a loving, caring, sharing way, so that our 2 perspectives come together, so that you feel that I feel what you feel, and I do that by saying what? Are you saying? Then you feel valued and appreciated because I've recognized you. How do you know me? As a loving, caring, sharing person. And you can soar any relationship just like that, moment by moment by moment. The problem is I don't care about what you see, but you're going to care about what I see. So I recognize myself. So you trust me to be someone who's involved in himself but not involved in us. It's not rocket science to build a relationship. All right. I'm always about practicing. So based on anything I talked about yesterday or this morning, I want you to do some Are You Sayings with me. Rick, are you saying? Give me some Are You Sayings.
So are you saying that even though you wanted a dog, the us in you decided not to get a dog?
Yes. Yes, that is what I'm saying. Someone else. Come on, folks. You just might go, are you saying that you have to have communication, recognition, trust, and relationship? Yes. Are you saying, if I say, are you saying that person will feel that I feel what you feel? Yes, I am what I'm saying. Do some are you sayings with me.
Are you saying that pride is a positive to building relationships?
Am I saying what?
Are you saying that pride is a positive in building relationships?
No. Oh, okay. No. I'm like, how do you get that? You know? But that's okay. But he was testing what he's saying. I was like, no. You hear that? No. And then I'd come back and know what I'm saying is humility is the path. I'd come back and correct it at that point, you see? But you heard that, no, that's not what I'm saying. No. Energy goes down. That means I don't feel it. You didn't get it. Are you saying?
Are you saying loving, caring, sharing is the foundation of a relationship?
Yes. And particularly in how you communicate, right? Very much so. The greatest of these is what? Love. And love creates care, and love creates share. Someone else.
Are you saying you can agree to disagree and so you can end it?
The first part, yes. I'm saying you can agree to disagree. Where I would go, no, is I would say, I'm saying you can agree to disagree and still have a relationship.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, not just end it, but you can still have a relationship. Because my wife and I agree to disagree about a lot of things. By the way, side note for you, what percentage of problems do you think are unsolvable in a marriage? 5%. Huh? 5%. 5%? Someone else? 0. So you believe all problems can be solved?
No.
10% is unsolvable. You know what research shows? 68.
I believe that.
68% of problems in marriage are actually unsolvable. Unsolvable. So when you study masterful couples, what do masterful couples do around all these unsolvable problems? They don't let unsolvable problems destroy who? Immature people allow the unsolvable things to destroy the relationship. They value the relationship, and they just negotiate around issues of dog, that kind of thing. I used to joke around and say, Luella, I know you like Southern gospel, but God hates it. He doesn't like all that twanging, you know? But sometimes we make right and wrong issues. We make issues right and wrong. They're not. They're just differences, aren't they? They're just differences. Respect differences. But we make differences because sometimes we're different. We're different in our background. We're different in our history. We're different in our thinking. Some problems are just not solvable. So what? Agree to disagree and value the what? The relationship. Thoughts or comments about this? Another are you saying? Guys?
Are you saying that, asking, are you saying help the other person feel valued and appreciated?
Yes. Because you're recognizing them. Very much so. And when you do that, they'll feel that you feel what they feel. Just don't let them ask you, do you agree? You go, no, I don't agree, but that's okay. What I'd rather understand. I'd rather understand and value your perspective. That's what I'd rather do than get into a whether we agree or disagree conversation. Some of those things aren't worth it. You see what I mean?
Are you saying it ain't worth it going back and forth trying to get to agreement?
Yes. 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 The chapter on problem solving, I have a conversation. It's all on problem solving. Some problems are unsolvable. Research shows that. But some that are unsolvable are also gridlocked. And you're fighting over them. You got to move a gridlock issue to unsolvable or heartfelt. And you can do that doing this. And just go, you know what? We just disagree about a dog. We'll never agree about a dog. I'll get it when you die, if you go first. But until then, I'd rather have us than a dog.
I was saying, Dr. Rick, about last night when we left here on the way to get something to eat. What Alex just said, I remember when Terry went in the restaurant, and I sat there and I was like, oh, you know what? Everything was so informational, overwhelming, and I know he had like a 16-hour day. Maybe I shouldn't have brought up a question that, discussion we just left out of. So we were going down the road, and I know me all question, but I calmed down once he went inside. I fell back to say, it wasn't even worth it. And then when we just did the exercise, the left and the right, and I was telling him, just pluck them out. Pluck them out. So, just,
I mean-
just calm down. Just, it's no right or wrong. It's just understanding.
We're trying to solve problems, even today in culture, without really listening to each other's what? Everybody's arguing my perspective's right. And I want to go, well, y'all don't know? If you're honest about it, you're both right. Only based on your what? And you're both wrong as well. But nobody wants to hear that because we value being right than we are creating understanding and having a relationship. Because I can prove this to you because God is always right. And we're mostly wrong. And he doesn't do that to us. And yet we'll do it to each other. Around denominational issues, racial issues, whether you can wear your hair this way, whether it's the King James Version versus this version. I'm like, really? We throw relationship away over those kinds of things? How immature. When the higher order way is we live life in relationship, regardless of all those things, and we find a way to work it through. And if we got to agree to disagree, let's do that. Because I'd rather have a what? Relationship. Remember, it takes two to make a us, and what? One to kill it. Just one to kill it. One person goes, I don't care about what you see. Fine. You now know you cannot have a what? You can't have a relationship with that person. Unless you want to agree with them all the time. But that's not a healthy way of living life. That's immaturity. Does that make sense? Practice are you sayings today. Practice are you sayings. Because I want to have you guys doing a lot of are you. I'm going to go, all right, doing are you saying with something I'm doing today, right? Doing are you saying. So I'm going to reinforce it over and over, all right? Questions or comments? All right, that's a freebie. It's outside relate well, but it's important.
Just one quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you're doing your are you sayings or in anything to get to the us, one person, if from what I can see, being honest, one person gets what they want, the other person doesn't get what they want for the us. And what I mean by that is you want a dog, you love dogs, you all that good stuff, but the us decided not to get a dog. So I guess the question that I have is, how do you consistently move to an us when you're the person that's consistently not getting what you desire? If that makes
Are you
sense.
saying that if I do are you sayings and create a relationship that I don't get what I want? That somebody loses?
I think you something else. But no, you didn't get a dog. You got a
True.
relationship, but you didn't get a dog.
Which is more valuable to God?
Oh, well, see, he made the dogs too. No, I'm just playing.
But I think that's when he was talking about some things are gridlock, and you might not ever get any resolution to that particular thing. It's
So-
not that you're not going to ever. I don't know. You're
Well,
just not gonna get
I'll
resolution.
tell you the story behind it. When we got into that argument quite a few years ago, I had just moved back from Kansas, and I said, all right, I've done 27 years this marriage with no dog. I'm getting a dog now. And we got into a gridlock fight about it, and I was angry, and I called him, Don Marks. He's the guy I go to when I get to that place in my low brain, and I vented on him. Yeah. Well, she did not. I did, because I knew I had to get this out of my head, or I was going to be carrying it with me throughout the day, and I didn't want to do that. And he said to me, is a dog worth sacrificing us over? And I thought, I never should touch you this stuff. And I went, no. But my heart wasn't settled in that moment. I said, no, Don, you're right. And we hung up. Literally, 10 seconds later, he calls me back. I'm going to tear up saying this, because that's the man that he is to me. He said, I forgot to tell you something. I said, what's that? He said, I want you to know, I'm sorry that Luella can't see how important this is to you. And I just want you to know I care. And in that moment, he spoke the words my brain needed to hear, and I settled down, and it's not been an issue since. I just joke about it now. He gave me the words that my brain was wanting to hear, which was, I care. Luella didn't care. But he gave me those words, because Luella couldn't give me the words I cared, because it wasn't in her. And that's okay. It's not good or bad. It just is. Make sense? And so that's when my heart actually settled, because someone came along and just said, I care. There's power in that, you know. There's power in just saying, I care. Doesn't mean I get what I want, because I knew logically, rationally, it's not a good decision to have a dog with all my traveling. I knew that. But it didn't take away the heart around it. Make sense? Isn't that's how God works with us.
So what, could you repeat what he actually said again?
He said to me, he called me back and he said, I forgot to tell you, I want you to know I'm sad and sorry that Luella can't see how important this is to you. Words of affirmation of how I was feeling. He knew how to reach that part of me. Luella couldn't, because she was too gridlocked in her own stuff. Got it? And I let it die. I mean, I just gave up the idea of a dog at that point. I knew logically, rationally, I didn't need it, but it settled my heart down. And it's been settled ever since. So I'm just waiting for her to die so I can get a dog. See?
We see her name show up on the news tomorrow.
We got it on video. He got that bloodhound he always wanted. Yes.
I was gonna say though, I think the primary problem that we run into with couples is they don't see the us, or they don't value the us enough above what they want.
Yes.
So it's hard for them to get to the place of saying, you know, I'll take one for the team, because you can say, are you saying all day, but they saying what they want, and that they don't know that they know that they know, and they think they know.
Left eye and right eye don't care about what each other sees. But when you put these two perspectives together, you now have reality, and that creates relationship. Now I understand reality, but I also value relationship. These two, left eye, right eye, listen to his perspective. Are you saying? Are you saying? And when he talks, are you saying? Put those perspectives together, get reality. Then your brain goes, now you can solve it if it's possible. But you can't solve it if there's not understanding.
Yeah, I was just thinking, how do you get other couples to understand that?
Do these kinds of things with them. Teach them these concepts first. This is why I spend so much time in here teaching these foundational concepts before we get to the skills. if you don't have the construct, because the skills actually create all this for you. Got it? So that's the practical how-tos.
Yeah, I just think that sometimes it takes a level of maturity
Oh, very much so.
to do that.
Very much so.
I've known people, they've been married for years, but they still don't understand the foundational things. Like, it's okay to just say, it's just, I'm gonna take one for the team. It's just like, arguing is like, you don't have to do it.
But in their world, they do because of their immaturity.
But I think
Because they don't know what they don't know.
learning.
Yeah, if they don't know what they don't know, right? Their realm of knowledge is so minute. I mean, I just had a guy and a wife. He's 60 years old. He's a major sex addict. And there were a lot of things he didn't know about life and relationships. The way he dealt with all of his pain was by acting out sexually. That's how he medicated himself. But he's destroying his marriage the whole time and his own soul. And his own soul. But he can't see it because it's not in his realm of knowledge. And so that's why most of what I do now is not therapy, it's more coaching. I teach people what they don't know first, and then I show them what to do. But I always call them out on their immaturity. I said, hey, how are you acting right now? Like a child? Is that how you want to be? Or do you want to be an adult? Right now, make a decision. Well, I want to be a child. Feel free. But we don't even have a meeting right now then. Because if you want to be a child, be a child. I can't help you if you're not teachable. You can't help someone if they're not teachable. And this is the hard part for me, y'all, since you're in leadership. Not everybody wants to be helped. Not everybody. In the personal development field, there's a phrase that says, when a student is ready, a teacher will appear. No teacher will invest in a student who's not ready for the investment. You don't invest in somebody who won't value the investment. You don't cast your pearl before a swine. Same kind of principle. You invest in those who want to learn. So Jim Rohn said it best, some will, some won't, so what? Find the ones that want to. And don't mess with the ones that don't. They're just not ready yet. Someone said, well, that's insensitive. It's no different than when Jesus said, if you're going out 2 by 2 and you're at a house and they reject you, what he said? Just brush the sand off, go find the next house. Quit worrying about the ones that don't. Just not ready yet. Find the ones that do. Yes.
So are you saying that when
I love that. You know what catch the are you saying? So I listened for it. Thank you. All right.
are you saying that, for instance, with counseling, like Pastor A was mentioning, some people just don't have that level of maturity? So is it one of those things where you have a couple that come to you and they're fighting, they're bickering, they're trying to get to a landing place, but they don't want to take the material or they're not open? It's like you're just shooting information to a brick wall. So are you saying that just let it go?
I would say, what it seems to me, I'm always respectful, goodwill. It seems to me that as much as I try to help you, it would sound like you're interested, but I get the impression you're not. Would that be accurate of you? Yes, I don't want to be here. Great. I'll tell you what, why don't you go home? It's okay. You're not ready yet. I'll help you.
Okay.
Real simple. I'm not bothered by it. I don't help people who don't want to help. Why? I get frustrated. I don't want to be frustrated. If you're not ready, you're just not ready. It's okay. Now, I will tell you this, though. I do that the first meeting with everybody. Right there, that lecture. Because I make them realize you don't know everything, and you think you do, and you got as a little dot. And by the way, my dot is different than your dot. You with me? So what I didn't do it in here, but usually I draw a big circle. So what do you do for a living? All right, so you do warehouse work. His knowledge of that work is different than mine, got it? So this is his knowledge of his job. Mine's like really small, right? Now, if I took my knowledge of his job and went and did his job, what would I look like? I'd look like a fool, wouldn't I? I tell people, I'm not smarter than you. This is my knowledge of healthy relationships. This is yours. I'm not smarter than you. I may have a PhD and 2 master's degrees. That doesn't make me smart, that makes me educated. But I do know this. This is my realm of knowledge compared to yours. All I'm actually doing is imparting what I know into your realm of knowledge. If you're not ready for that impartation, it's okay. But don't say I'm smarter than you. I just see things you don't see. Why? I have a different realm of knowledge I operate from. This is why they killed Jesus. Jesus didn't operate in the Pharisees' Roman knowledge. Hey, you can't touch a leper. Yes, I can. No, we know you can't. Well, you don't know that I can. Hey, you can't heal on the Sabbath. Yes, I can. No, we know that you can't. Well, you don't know that I can. And they killed him for it. Why? Because his knowledge base threatened their power. It's true today in denominations and ministers. Your realm of knowledge threatens my power. That's not about maturity. That's about your own issues. When we're teachable, we go, oh, so I can heal on the Sabbath? Sure you can. You mean I can actually eat pork? Sure you can. Wow. I eat steak and pork. The Hindus don't like me, and the Jews and the Muslims don't like me. I mean, you can look at it how you want, perspective, right? But Jesus said, look, if I've said something blessed, don't call it unblessed. He shifted the thinking that was the dominant in the priesthood, didn't he? He operated outside of their realm of what? Knowledge. And it would threaten them.
Dr. Rick, when you say, as you're saying, this calls for humility. Because some point, we got to be humble.
Yes.
Because if you're not humble, you're not going to be acceptable to want to really build a relationship or
Right.
listen to your partner in
Right.
this situation.
Yeah. And I would say, in my world, brother, I just go, it's on me to move there, not Luella. It's on me to move there. It's like Father goes, you be that man, Rick. You be it. Well, what about her? Don't worry about her. It's my job to convict her of sin, not yours. I didn't ask you to convict her of sin for me. I asked you to love her for me. It's my job to convict of sin, not yours. I love it, though. You know? And remember, for every stone that you can throw at someone, look behind you. There's a bunch of stones that people can throw at you, too. It's a level playing field at the cross. It's a level playing field at the cross. We all in need of a Savior, and we all sinners. But in our own self-righteousness, we'll throw a stone at someone. And can you imagine if one of those Pharisees had thrown a stone at that woman caught in adultery? That would be the epitome of arrogance, wouldn't it? Yes. And we're doing it all the time in our marriages. We're doing it culture. We're throwing stones at each other. It's like, who are you to throw a stone? Well, I don't. Okay, not the issue. At the cross, who are you to throw a stone? Yes. But if you don't want to forgive and move on, then what did Jesus say? Then you'll be forgiven the way that you do forgive. And when you get forgiven the way that you forgive, don't complain. Because when you sow discord, you will reap it. You bring it on yourself. It's the law of attraction. You will attract it to you because you do it yourself. Make sense? Yes, ma'am.
So are you saying that the husband should be the founder leader in taking one for the team?
No. No.
That should be a yes.
The Bible says that men and women are joint heirs. That's what it says. We're joint heirs. So what I am saying is, you both choose to do it first. You both choose to do it first.
But they should just do it more. Are you saying I'm just playing?
What I'm saying, Father looks at me and he says, why don't you do it? He would look and go, Sky, why don't you do it? Well, he's supposed to be head of the home. That's not the issue. The issue is, why don't you live from my heart, son, daughter? This is not about husband-wife issues. This is about who you are to me. It's like right now in the Christian world, there's this battle going on around complementary theology, which is husband here, wife here, or are they equal? And people try and pigeonhole me in one of those two conversations. Well, you sound like you're equal, but sometimes you sound like you're complementary. And I go, I'm neither. You will not put me in either of those camps. I refuse to be put there. You want to know why? To make marriage, to cheapen marriage to a system of theology, cheapens it. Yes. Live for us. And if that means you have to be in charge because I'm sick or hurting or whatever going on, then you do that for the sake of what? And if I need to step up and make a decision because I am still the head of the home because God put me in that role, it's okay. But I do it as a servant leader. And it's good for who? It's the Trinity. That's where I live. I'm not saying I'm right, but I don't get caught up in all those conversation people. Because they're arguing about each other. And they're creating division. And that's why we won't have a relationship because you weren't complimenting. We're gonna define our relationship based on that? I just don't want to go there. I was telling my brother here, I'm ordained Southern Baptist, but my actual denomination is Navy Protestant. You go, what is Navy Protestant? It's the best denomination. See, in the military, any vets in here? All right, so you know what I'm talking about. In the military, you're Catholic, Jewish, Protestant, right? Here's how I worked in the military. I was a chaplain assistant. I would say, do you know Jesus, your Savior? And you'd say, yep, we're friends. You go, well, I speak in tongues. Feel free. I don't speak in tongues. I don't care. Well, I believe in predestination. You ain't got a choice. I don't believe in free will. You got choices. I don't really care. I don't really care. You want to know why? Because we're honest about it. Denomination is just another word for division. That's all it is. And what divides us? Issues that have no bearing on eternity. Now, if you tell me Jesus is not the Savior, hill to die on. You tell me there's not a resurrection, hill to die on. You tell me he's not the Son of God, the Son of God, hill to die on. But outside of that, maybe Protestant's a better way to live. People go, well, Catholics pray to Mary. So? Doesn't send you to hell. If they're saved, pray to Mary. I don't really care. Who cares? Why would we want relationship thrown away because of those kinds of issues? I just leave it alone. It's a much easier way to live life. You know what? I'd rather have friendships across denominational lines, ethnic lines, all that kind of stuff. You want to know why? Because in the end, God is a relational God. He's about unity, not disunity. And where you find disunity, you will find Satan. You will find Satan. And he's having a heyday in this nation right now. And sadly, the division in the church has been leading this charge, in my personal opinion, for a long time. Our own ability to be united has taught the culture that Jesus did not come from the Father. He said that in John 17 in his high priestly prayer. I pray that the body might be one so that the world would know that you, Father, sent me. Our disunity has convinced the world that Jesus did not come from the Father. Because we don't value unity, we value what? Right and wrong. Because we don't value relationship. I'm not saying I'm right, I'm just telling you who I am. It's a better way to live life, at least for me. All right? Okay, we ready to move forward? Yes. All right. Jump over to page 24, chapter 2. Love needs others. So in the manual, you have the biblical layout for this. I'm just going to give it to you at a 1,000-foot view. John chapter 2, the Lord says, it is not good that man should be what? You can be married and alone. That aloneness there has nothing to do with marriage, all right? It is not good that man should be alone. I will make a helpmeet for him. We have interpreted that passage to mean marriage. I will prove to you it doesn't. Here's why I know for a fact. Right after Adam is told that it's not good for him to be alone. Now, Adam did not know he was alone. He did not know that he did not know he's alone. God said he was alone. Adam doesn't know that. But God gives Adam an assignment right after that, verses 19 and 20. Name the animals. And the scripture says it was through the process of naming the animals that Adam comes to a realization, an awareness. There's not another one like him. Question, what do you think Adam felt the moment he realized there was not another one like him? Alone. You ever felt alone before? It's a human condition. This is important. His aloneness existed before the fall. The pain of aloneness was in the garden in perfection before Eve. Adam now feels the pain of aloneness. When he realized there's not another one like him, he now knows what God meant in verse 2:18. He's feeling it. Some of you, many in your church and many out there outside these doors, they're married and very much what? Because they live for themselves. They don't know how to live for us. Adam now feels the pain and aloneness. He goes to he has surgery with some of that aloneness in his heart. And when he wakes up, he sees, this is important, particularly for those who are single when you're counseling. You see, nobody wants to feel alone, right? The leading health crisis, I told you today, is aloneness. It is terrible in this country. Addictions are actually attachment disorders. I've spoken on this 3 times at national conferences so far. Addicts don't bond to people, they bond to objects. They're trying to get their relational needs met through an object or a process rather than people, all right? Addicts give up bonding this way to bond to something, all right? They bond to things. Things cannot meet relational needs. Adam feels the pain and load, but when he sees God bringing Eve, why is that important? He says, the scripture says he sees God bringing Eve. Because when God says, I'm going to do something for you, he actually sees God doing it. God brought Eve, is what the scripture says. All right? He didn't just see Eve, he saw God bringing Eve. But when we're in the pain of aloneness, we don't want to be there. All right? And remember this phrase, whenever humans are in pain, the brain is wired to avoid pain and pursue pleasure. If you have a headache, what do? Pain pursues pleasure. The brain avoids pain at all costs. It will do whatever it takes to go to pleasure. And whenever you're alone, you don't want that aloneness. But at this point in time in history, Adam trusted God for his needs, and he sees God bringing the needs. But we, in our fallen state, I don't like feeling alone, so I go find somebody for God. Now, one of my favorite people in favorite movies, but I like the plays better, is Medea. Tyler's ability to teach in the plays are far more profound than the movies. They're far more profound. I love Tyler's teaching. And in Medea Goes to Jail, the play, Medea is having a conversation with her nephew. Because his wife cheated on him with his best friend. And they're having this conversation about relationships. And Medea says, I don't understand this man. Lord, where's my man? Lord, where's my woman? He said, what the hell are you going to do with somebody else if you don't know how to learn to live by yourself? Yes. If you're not okay with being you, trying to find other people to fill your gaps isn't going to work. Love the Lord your God with thy heart, mind, strength, and your neighbor as your. People say if you want to love your wife, you need to love God. That is not true. That is not what Scripture says. Paul makes it very clear in Ephesians 5. A husband who loves his wife loves himself. He's talking to Christians that we assume love God. Are you with me? If you're not whole within yourself, you can't love others. So you take from others to fill your void, to fill the void deficiencies. But if we come and realize we're sons and daughters and we're loved unconditionally and that we are valued and we matter, we have worth, and we have purpose because God declares that we are, your heart will settle down. You can love others better. You can give to us in a greater way. I know because I wasn't that guy. I had to become that guy. Does that make sense? And so Adam sees God bringing Eve. When he sees God bringing Eve, the Hebrew gives you a sense of what it was like from emotion. He's like, wow, this is bone of my bones. Man, she's flesh of my flesh. I'm going to call her, whoa, man. Do you hear any aloneness in that? So here's a phrase for you if you're taking notes. The remedy for human aloneness is intimacy. More clinical words today are bonding, attachment, connection. All humans have to bond, and you will bond to something. If not alcohol, you could bond to a dog, whatever, all right? And so if you'll put my slides up there, where you see it says love needs others, you can go ahead, keep moving forward for me there on the slides. There you go. Pain and pleasure, you'll see it. You look what Aristotle said. Look at that quote by Aristotle. We may lay it down that pleasure is a movement by which the soul as a whole is constantly brought into its normal state of being, and that pain is the opposite. We are all created for pleasure, and our brain is wired to avoid pain and pursue pleasure. And you meet needs. When you meet needs, you are in pleasure. So let's kind of talk quickly here about relationships and the idea of love. Love, I said yesterday, is an emotion. It is an emotion. We say in the church, love's not a feeling. It is a feeling. If you asked me today, did my dad love me? I'd say yes. Ask me how I know. Not sure. Well, how do you know? Well, based on what I learned about my dad and his abuse, his dad, I think he loved me based on what he could do. But I never really felt love from him. And I never felt love from my stepmother. I don't want to know that the Lord loves me. I want to what? Feel it. You've lost that what? Love and feeling. There's truth to that. And if you wonder, and people say emotions are illogical. Emotions are not illogical. Emotions are logical if you understand the logic of emotions. So what is the logic of emotions? It's pain and pleasure. All humans are avoiding pain and pursuing what? And our emotions are really about pain and pleasure. I'm angry because I'm not being respected. And I'm angry because I'm being respected, so I feel disrespected. And so I yell and scream at you because I'm feeling disrespected. And my yelling and screaming is in hope to get you to respect me. It's a crazy way to get respect, but it's about emotion. Are you with me? So, the logic of emotion is pain and pleasure. And we all have the need to be loved. But how do you move from pain to pleasure? It's about meeting needs. All humans are needy. God made us needy. Food, air, water, shelter. We all have needs, all right? That's at the bottom, page 24 in your manual, all right? We all have the need. Spiritual needs, we have physical needs, we have intellectual needs, and we have emotional needs. All those needs must be met, all right? When our needs are met, think of their survival needs, all right? We have these survival needs, food, air, water, shelter, but we also have the need to bond to others. We have the need to attach. Of all human needs, the need to bond and attach cannot be done on your own. They must be given to you. You cannot comfort yourself. Comfort is one of the one another's. 2 Corinthians 1, 3, and 4. Comfort one another with the comfort I give you. It originates him. All the relational needs in the human heart must be given to you. You cannot meet them on your own. Now, if my needs are met, I feel loved. Example. Let's say that your name again, sir, is Herbert. Let's say Herbert hadn't eaten in 5 days. That would be a biological need for appetite. If the need for appetite is not satisfied, he's going to feel pain. We call it hunger pain. His brain's going to send a signal out to the body, letting him know that he hasn't had food, right? To satisfy the need for appetite. Make sense? So his brain is sending a signal out. All pain produces symptoms. So Herbert is feeling the symptoms of hunger. Let's say I come along, find out he had eaten in 5 days, and I give him a bunch of hamburgers. The question is, would hamburgers satisfy unmet need for appetite? The answer is yes. 1,000-foot view, here's what happens in the brain as God designed it. The moment he takes the first bite, literally the first bite into a hamburger, his brain goes, oh, you're eating something. And the brain releases a neurochemical called dopamine. Remember that name. Say it with me. Dopamine. Remember dopamine. Dopamine, when it's released, is a mood shift into pleasure. It's like his brain goes, oh, you're eating something. He has a feeling of relief. He finishes the hamburgers. He's no longer what? Hungry. He moved out of pain into what? Pleasure. It'll work. But let's say I don't give him hamburgers to satisfy the unmet need for appetite. Let's say I give him 4 boxes of rat poison. Now let's say, assuming he likes the taste, of course, he eats the rat poison. Would rat poison satisfy an unmet need for appetite? Yes, it will. Once he takes the first bite into the rat poison, the brain goes, oh, you're eating something. And the brain releases the dopamine. Be careful about dopamine, by the way. Dopamine has no values or morals to it. You get dopamine having sex with your spouse or a prostitute. Either way, you get. That's why the Bible says there's pleasure in sin. Because whenever you're in something pleasurable, you get a dopamine release. But when the dopamine falls off, for addictions, the source of your pleasure becomes the source of your pain. But early on, the pleasure masks the pain it's actually creating. So he eats the 4 boxes of rat poison. He's no longer hungry. He moved out of pain into what? Pleasure. Both will satisfy the need for appetite. The problem, though, Herbert, is with the rat poison, because though it will satisfy your need for appetite, the rat poison creates more what? What does pain do? Pain pursues pleasure. Remember that phrase. Pain pursues what? Remember that phrase. Just make that a part of your soul from this point forward. Pain pursues pleasure. So now he's in pain. What does pain do? Pursues pleasure. So what does he do? He goes back to a source of pleasure and eats more rat poison. You go, why? Simple. Because bad love is better than negative attention. You're still better than what? No attention. You'll notice on page 25, and there's a list on the PowerPoint, there are these core relational needs that must be met. We put them in the acronym of CARES: comfort, acceptance, affection, appreciation, approval, attention, respect, encouragement, security, and support. By the way, in your leader's guide, I have all the Bible verses for these, all right? They're in Scripture. They're in Scripture. And when these needs are met, you feel loved. When they're not met, you feel unloved. It's not rocket science. It's actually simple how the brain works. It's pain and pleasure. So what's the logic of emotion? It's we all have to get our needs met. And when my needs, those CARES needs are met, I feel connected and loved. And when my needs are met, I feel loved. And I feel pleasure. But when my needs are not met, I feel what? Pain. Now here's the logic of emotion. If I treat you on a regular basis in a way that creates pain for you, then ultimately you will feel that I am a danger to you. And whenever you feel that someone is a danger, what the brain does is one of three things. It wants to run, it wants to freeze, or it wants to fight, which is the lower order fight, flight, or freeze brain. All because you're a source of what? Pain. Because we don't know how to what? Bond. But if I meet needs and I live for us, and you live for us, and we're meeting each other's needs in healthy, mature ways, then that creates pleasure. And when you feel pleasure with someone, you feel desire towards them, don't you? And that feeling of desire manifests itself in feelings of what? Love. To say that love is not an emotion, I can act in a loving way, but just because I treat you and commit to act towards you in a loving way does not mean I have feelings of love for you. You cannot legislate a feeling. Feelings are dictated upon how people what? Treat you. And whether they're a source of pleasure in your life. This is why Jesus is a source of pleasure. He never hurts you. He never betrays you. He's always respectful. Now that doesn't mean you want a relationship with him. But he'll never be that way for you. Does this make sense? If we're going to bond in conflict, then we need to be able to regulate ourselves so we're not a source of danger to each other. We need to have the skills so that we solve issues that keep us over here. And all the skills we teach and relate, well, keep you over here so you can solve problems together so that us wins. Are you with me? That's really what Relate Well is about. How to deal with conflict maturely and protect the relationship so that us can win and you spend more time over here and less time over here. Does that make sense? Yes. Now, let me give you a practical example of what it looks like. I am arguing then that all humans have a fallen nature, all right? We have this fallen, sinful nature. But I'm also arguing that all humans are also needy, all right? And what happens is we see people's sinful behavior and we tell them to stop it, suck it up, get over it. Folks, people's fallen behavior doesn't happen in a vacuum. All behavior is motivated by something. I'm telling you, it's motivated by the pain of an unmet need. All right? By pain of an unmet need. Now, example, nagging. Ladies, whether you like it or not, nagging is a sin. Scripture says a contentious woman is like a slow dripping faucet. So there's Luella. She's nagging. She's in sin. What do? Well, because she's nagging, I complain about her nagging. So there I am complaining about her nagging. And why do men complain about your nagging, ladies? It's actually really simple. Because we understand as the head of the home, we're also the priest of the home. And when you're nagging, we know you're in sin. And all we're trying to do is get you back in fellowship with God. We care about your spiritual condition. That's why we do it. And the lady's like, yeah, no woman's ever bought into that one yet, Pastor. That's for sure. Now, here's how it really works. Luella's nagging, I'm complaining. Father looked at me and said, what are you doing? Well, I'm sick and tired of Luella's nagging. I would be too, if I were you. I asked, what are you doing? I'm trying to get her to stop. Well, he goes, I thought it was my job to convict her of sin. Just trying to help you out then. I mean, what are you going to say at that point, right? And he would say, well, I don't need your help. And in my frustration, I'd say, well, then what do you want me to do? I'm tired of her nagging. Listen to how I word this. Rick, what you fail to understand is this. Underneath Luella's fallen problem behavior and nagging is the pain of an unmet need for attention from you. My hunch is if you spent less time complaining about her nagging and you spent more time needing for attention, what you'd actually see is the nagging would go away. This isn't rocket science. You just have to care enough to meet the what? But I don't want to meet your needs. I want you to stop it. And then she still feels the pain of rejection from me. And we will not be bonding. And we'll be on the pleasure side of life. All because I don't care to meet your what? I would make this little graphic a part of your soul. It is a part of mine to this day. And I got revelation of this many years ago, and when you learn something, you get an opportunity to practice it. So 3 days later, I get a phone call from Luella. This is like 25 years ago. I get a phone call from Luella, and it went and started this tone. Can we talk? I thought, no. But it was right after I realized I needed to transform my life, become a better man, so I took a deep breath. I said, sure. She said, you know, Rick, I get out of bed before you to get things ready for the day and for kids for school. You'd think you'd make the bed. I hate making beds. I'll make a bed better than my wife will any day. If you're in the military, you know you can do it. There are no wrinkles underneath the mattress. Luella uses fitted sheets. We didn't use fitted sheets. We had to make sure that the sheets underneath the mattress were equidistant. That's what we had to do. I can make a bed. I just got out of the military and decided I don't need to make them anymore like that. You'll mess it up at night. But on this particular day, I wasn't listening for this. I was listening for the need. And I said, Luella, stop me. She goes, I go, stop a minute. And I said, Luella, if I made the bed, would you feel supported? You heard the shift in her voice, emotionally. She says, yes, Rick. You don't know what that would mean to me. You can call and ask her. 721-7527 is my home number. 95% of the time for the last 20 plus years, when I am home, I make the bed. Not because I like making the bed, because when I make the bed, the woman that I love feels what? Supported, which is on the cares list here. She feels supported. And when she feels supported, that's good for who? Us. That's the only reason I make it. Now, I said 95% of the time because I don't like making beds. And like this morning, I got out of bed before her, so she'd have to make it because I didn't want to make it. But the majority of the time, I make it with no issues, no complaints, because I make the bed because I value her enough to meet her what? Needs. Does that make sense? Now, the test you took last night was to identify your top 3 cares needs. All right? And what we do with this now is, let me show you. What couple would be willing to let me use your needs? All right, so on page 33, here's what everybody do. Where it says your top 3, look at your list after you total them up. Write down your top 3 needs there, and then your bottom 3. Then get your partner's top 3 and put on the right side of that graphic on page 33. So write your top 3 scoring needs and your bottom 3, and then write your partner's top 3 and your bottom 3 on that little graphic in the middle of page 33. All right, so what is your top 3 needs? All right, hang on a minute. All right, it's Emmanuel and it's Katrina, right? All right. P or K? I can't remember. P, that's what I thought. Okay. All right, yours is security, affection, and approval. All right, brother, what are yours? What is it? What's that one? Which one? Of those 3, this becomes subjective based on Ferguson's way of doing things. Of those 3, which one would you feel is more important than the other 2? Respect. All right? And then what are your bottom 3? Uh-huh. Okay. Acceptance. All right. And your bottom 3, brother? All right, here's how this works. Dr. Ferguson, who developed this understanding, he calls these top 3 your priority needs. By priority means All humans have those 10 needs hardwired into the brain at birth, and they'll stay with you till the day you die. Those 10 cares needs must be met all the way through life, just like food, air, water, and shelter. The age group with the highest suicide rate is not teenagers, it's the elderly. It's the elderly. 60 and above is the highest suicide rate. Just read an article yesterday. 92-year-old man jumped off a third-story building to kill himself. But he'd been put away into a home. Where does he get comfort from? Where does he get attention from? Suicide is pain and pleasure. Some people's pain of loneliness and disconnection is so great, the brain figures out it'd be more pleasurable to be dead than alive in this rejection. It's pain and pleasure. So, Emmanuel, he feels most loved around approval, security, and support, and respect. Got it, Patrina? Where you feel most love around security, affection, and approval. Now you notice you're the same here and you're same here, which means both your brains are looking for the same thing, all right, at the highest level. You're different, or you're the same down here. So these, right here, these priorities are where you feel most loved. So you got to really become intentional, but making sure you meet your partner's needs at those highest levels. Llewellyn's top three are security, encouragement, and support. That's why I make the bet. It's one of her top three. Her top three happen to be my bottom three. These down here, your brain doesn't think much about. Got it? Your brain doesn't think much about them. Now, interesting, you guys got none at the bottom. It's obviously your partner's priorities. All right? So if you want her to feel most loved, you got to make sure you meet her need for security, affection, and approval. All right? This is where you feel most loved, but consequently, it's also where you feel most unloved. Are you with me? And you want to meet your partner's priority needs in a way that it matters to them. It's a value to them. All right? We're actually going to write down some things you can do here in a minute, and we're actually going to start moving forward and learning some things and putting some things together as you work together as a couple. So then, let me give you a story, and then we're going to have an exercise. For many years, I bought Luella red roses. She always liked them. Always liked them. You can get them at Walmart, good price. She was always grateful for years, until 10 years ago. She had come home, I bought her roses, feeling good about myself because she always liked them. But on this particular day, about 10 years ago, she came home, I put the roses in a vase like I always did. She grinned, she smiled, she says, "You got me roses." I said, "Yeah, feeling good about myself, right?" And then she asked a question. And when she asked it, you just know you're done for, guys. She looked at me, she said, "What color roses do I like?" You feel it right here in your lower brain. I learned how to regulate that part of my brain when it's triggered. So I took a deep breath and I said, "Well, apparently I've missed something." She goes, "Missed something? You know, you say you're a good listener." I go, we don't need to go down that low brain road. I said, "I promise you right here, right now, whatever you say, going straight through my neocortex, into my thalamus, I'll never forget it." Here's what she said, almost word for word. "Rick, I appreciate the thought of red roses. Red roses mean nothing to me. Yellow roses mean everything. I will not tell you again." And I've been buying yellow roses ever since. Because yellow roses, it makes her go, yes. Before, it's like, "Oh, you got me roses." Now, you got me roses. Now, I'm ashamed to tell you this, because I teach this stuff, but last October, we are watching the videos that are online that we're giving you, and I tell this story. And she's watching it with me. And she said, "Stop it right there." And she looked at me and she goes, "Do you want to know why I like yellow roses?" And I looked at her and went, "I'm ashamed to admit I'd never asked that question." She says, "I know." And I was chuckling to myself. I teach this stuff. And I looked at her and said, "Yeah, why do you like yellow roses?" She said, "My grandmother. Her grandmother was her angel. It was her safe place in life as a kid from all the craziness in her home." She said, "My grandmother grew roses, and she always taught me the prettiest and best fragrant roses are yellow." And I thought, So the next week, I was at Sam's, and they had a bouquet of 18 yellow roses. I bought those, put them in a vase. She came home and saw them, gives me a hug. All the years of buying her roses, she'd never done this before. The next morning, I get a text. She's down in the kitchen. I get a text on my phone, sitting here drinking my coffee, enjoying my roses. Never, ever, ever she'd done that before. On this day, she's doing that. And I came downstairs, and she's still sitting there with all these roses that have blossomed up. And she said, thank you for roses. And I said, I didn't buy you roses. She said, what'd you buy me? I said, I bought you your grandmother. And she cried, and she said, you understand now? I said, I do. I just wish I knew to ask that question years ago.
That's what I'm saying. For me, this exercise, everyone comes with a manual. I do, he do. And the only way I'm going to better understand is to open up
And communicate.
and communicate. And what you're saying, I learned that at Pastor Scott and Pastor Anthony's Christmas party. Her mother E is a psychologist. And you remember when the guy said he was a businessman, and he would always come home and shower his wife with flowers, and stuff. And she was like, oh, okay. But that's not what she wanted. That's
No.
what he wanted.
Here's what he wanted.
And my question is, can people give someone something out of pain to satisfy their pleasure? Not that I want that, but that's something.
Most people meet needs in a way that they think has a value to that person. You meet needs in a way that that person values. I was giving her red roses out of goodwill, but she was right. I didn't listen. She had told me yellow years before. I just didn't listen, but I kept buying them, but it meant nothing to her. Now, we're about to do an exercise around that. Look at page 34 and 35. We're going to have 30. We got 30 minutes to do this, and we're going to build 45 minutes into this break, if you will, because you have an exercise, then we'll take a break as well. So, you'll notice on page 34 and 35, there's a worksheet here. All right. Usually, you would have your people do this as a homework. We're actually going to do this in here in the training. You'll notice this priority need 1, priority need 2, and priority need 3, all right? So whatever your top 3 is, so Patrina would write security under priority need 1, she'd write affection under 2, and she'd write approval under 3. Now you notice there's 3 action items. What you're going to do are write 3, and you look above that, look above in the middle of page 34, you'll see the word CARE, criteria, C-A-R-E. It must, whatever you write down has to meet this criteria. It must be clear. It cannot be vague. It must be attainable. Buy me a yacht. I don't know if that's attainable for me or realistic. Got it? It might bring me positive energy. It must be clear. It must be attainable. It must bring positive energy. By positive energy, positive energy means this. Oh, you got me roses. Guess what color they are? Red. You got me roses. It's got to do that to you, all right? So you're going to write down 3 care behaviors that your partner could do that if they do it, would go, yes, but it must be clear. So affection is one of Patrina's top 3. Here's a non-care request. If she writes down, touch me once a day. Well, technically, he could walk up and go like that to the back of her ear in the morning, and she'd come back later in the day and go, hey, you haven't touched me today. He go, yes, I did. No, you didn't. Hey, when you were brushing your teeth, when I walked out and touched the back of your ear, I touched you. Well, that's not what I want. You said touch me once a day. I did. Care request sounds like this. Twice a week, sit on the couch, hold my hands 30 minutes, and watch TV. When we're at the mall, hold my hand for part of the time. Got it? Security isn't just about money in the bank or deadbolts on the door. You'll notice that, go back to the definition of these. The definition here is confidence of harmony in the relationship. I feel secure that you love me. Years ago, I asked Luella, I said, 6 months, for 6 months, twice a month, or twice a week, just say you love me and never leave me. Just tell me that. She said, well, you believe it? I said, not necessarily, but don't stop doing it. Eventually, my brain will figure it out. Because my world growing up is I learned one thing growing up in my broken home. Don't trust people to stick around. They're going to abandon you. That abandonment is a constant. You can guarantee it. And I took that in my marriage. When I realized I didn't trust her to stay, that was insecurity. And I said, just tell me that. And she did. Now, at 36 years of marriage, she'd never leave me because I'm too good for her. Got it? And that's secure. But initially, I wasn't. So you want to write down 3 things. Approval is usually done in words, people. Appreciation could be words, but it also could be a gift, right? We show appreciation in the workplace by what? Usually giving bonuses. That's a form of appreciation, all right? Respect could be something like this. When I'm talking or sharing, hear me out, don't interrupt. it's disrespectful to interrupt someone when they're talking. Got it? And so what you're going to do, you're going to write down 3 things that your partner could do that if they did it, it would meet those top 3 needs. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to take a picture of your partner's book here. You can't tell me you don't know how to meet their needs. They give you 9 things you can start doing today. All you got to do, Rick, is start making the bed. Luella learned this. Luella's bottom need is affection. It's one of my top 3. If I hold her hand, it means nothing. She holds mine, I get aroused. You with me? And we were mentoring some couples quite a few years ago, and she actually said this to the ladies. She said, I failed to realize that me holding his hand had the same emotional effect when he would change a light bulb for me. Because her top need was support. Affection is low. Her brain don't think about it. But she became more affectionate because it's one of my top 3. That make sense? All right, so I'm going to set the timer for 45 minutes. You take your break. As a part of this, take some time. We can play some music in the background. Write down your needs list, share with each other, take a picture, okay? And we'll start back in 45 minutes. And that's a built-in break as well. So let's do that. If we always get done.